Welcome today to our ALOA webinar. If you are unfamiliar with ALOA, we are a resource to the church focused on strengthening ministry by and for older adults. We do this by helping to equip congregations to provide more intentional and dynamic ministry for older adults, and by encouraging individuals to continue to use their gifts to serve their congregations and in their communities. You can find out more about ALOA at aloaserves.org and the areas of resources that we have available. Today, we are so pleased to be joined by John Roberto, the founder of Lifelong Faith Associates. He's been a tremendous resource to churches on the subject of faith formation over the years. So without taking any more time, I will turn it over to John.
Thanks, Carol. Hi, everybody. I'm going to share my screen. The PowerPoint and some resources, I'll share with you how to get those at the end. So rest assured you'll be able to get the PowerPoint and the materials I'm talking about. Okay. So the topic for today is every church can become a center of long life learning. And I know usually we use lifelong, but in fact, we're living longer. And so we're talking about how to think about 10 decades of life. That's what I want to explore. I want to do it both just a little bit of background and then really a lot of practice. So let's dig in. When I'm thinking about adulthood, I'm thinking about adulthood in 4 seasons. So not so much developmental stages and the rest, but these 4 big kind of blocks of time, if you will. Young adults in their 20s and 30s. And right now we kind of have each of these 4 seasons kind of corresponds to a generational experience as well. But young adults, midlife adults in their 40s and 50s, by and large, those are lots of our parents of children and teenagers in that group, and even college students. Mature adults in their 60s and 70s, and of course, if we were teaching this 20 or 30 years ago, that category would not have existed because the lifespan would have been shorter. We would have gone from midlife to adults to older adults. And then older adults are 80 plus, and some of the theorists even talk about older adults as younger older, middle older, and older older. And it's just a way to think about how the lifespan is now all 10 decades. I'm going to concentrate on mature adults and older adults. Those are the 2 groups that I think my examples and the rest will apply to best. But the practice of what I'm going to talk about really applies all across the span of lifelong faith formation. So what I'd like to suggest is when I'm working with churches around adult faith formation, I help them create what I'll call one adult faith formation plan. Now, it's going to have 4 emphases, if you will: young adult, midlife, mature, and older. But there's experiences that will apply to all adults. You'll see that in the examples I'm going to share. And then experiences that are targeted to 1 or more seasons of adulthood. So I think early on, we thought churches would develop very distinct ministries to each of these 4. And I think that's more an emphasis. I try to help them develop one adult faith formation plan that has these 4 incorporated, both with all adult experiences as well as targeted experiences, so that you get the best of both worlds. So I have a little quiz for you. So this is our daily quiz. I live in Connecticut, so this is the early afternoon quiz. But if you're in another time zone, this is your morning quiz. So I want you to think about what you think this is that I'm describing. It provides resources, programming, services, and live events for all ages. It provides its resources and programs in multiple language and inclusive of people with special needs and disabilities. It provides in-person and virtual career services and mentoring. It provides free Wi-Fi access. It offers resources, support groups, and programs for all ages. As an example, parents beginning with babies and toddlers right through the high school years. It offers family-centered programs throughout the year, including all 3 generations of the family: children, parents, and grandparents, and a variety of programs and experiences for children and families during the summertime. It offers after-school programs for children and teens, including help with homework staffed by older adults. So take a minute and think about what you think I just described. And the hint is there's one of these in almost every community in which you live. And so if you guessed, oops, sorry. And if you guessed it was a library, you're correct. The transformation over the last 20 or 30 years from libraries being places where you borrow books and return books, sometimes late, to centers for lifelong learning has been profound. And if you go online to look at almost every website, and especially the bigger ones, like the New York Public Library as an example, they really are thinking of themselves as centers for lifelong learning for all ages. Children, teens, parents, and older adults, and maybe especially older adults. And so when I'm talking about thinking about a church as a center for lifelong learning, I think the best model exists already in your community, and that's the library. It's what's so interesting about the library today is it's not just what happens within the four walls of the library, but the library also has an external presence out in the wider community. So it's become in many ways an any place experience, even though it's certainly rooted in a physical plant. So here's the question for today. What if your church was a center of lifelong learning? And I mean, in practice, I don't mean every church says we have something for every age group, but that's not always entirely true. So what if your church was a center of lifelong learning, but also part of a network of adult learning in your community? So the campus for adult learning in the church is not just the church campus, it's the entire community. So how do we partner with other religious congregations in our area? The library in our area, libraries, senior centers and senior housing, colleges and continuing education programs, community organizations that engage adults, and other institutions or groups that may be particular to your community. So if we start thinking in this broader way that the church is a center of lifelong learning, and that our church can be part of a network of adult learning in our community, then we're going to offer all kinds of new opportunities for our adults to learn and grow and serve and engage with people. Pew Research, a couple of years back, this is pre-pandemic, they did a research on lifelong learning. And a couple of findings, I'm going to use two slides. They found the majority of Americans, 74%, seek out learning activities in their personal and work lives. Now, this would be everybody from, I'm guessing, the 20s on up. They went right up into the 90s. So they asked people who have done, what have you done in the past 12 months? And 74% had done at least one of the activities below. Reading, a variety of things, attending a meeting, workshop, program, course, a convention or a conference, a course related to the personal interests or hobbies, or an online course. Now, that last number would have gone up dramatically, obviously, since the pandemic. When asked about recent experiences among adults who pursue personal learning activities, here's the percentage who said they helped them feel more capable and well-rounded, 87%. Open up new perspective about their lives, 69%. Help them make new friends, made them more connected, prompt them to get more involved in career opportunities. Every year, now this is again a pre-pandemic number, but it will return, maybe this summer, but certainly in 2023. Rhodes Scholar, which used to be called Elder Hostel, and they changed their name to Rhodes Scholar because they started attracting the mature generation who did not want to be called elder. That was their moms and dads who were in the older adult category. Rhodes Scholar for 50 plus, that's for adults 50 plus, involves 100,000 adults every year in all kinds of learning experiences, week-long experiences, domestic, international, intensive learning, outdoor experiences. The fastest growing program are grandparent and grandchild programs. The OSHA Continuing Education, you may be familiar with them already. They're in 125 academic institutions. They started as just a continuing education program for adults, and now 125 academic institutions offer those for thousands and thousands of adults. So the Pew research is actually borne out in our experience. Adults are always learning, and mature and older adults who have more time continue to learn. So learning never stops. This was a great example. If you get AARP magazine this month, in the kind of almost the centerfold, they look, the article is about, let me get the title, Live by Your Own Rules is the name of the article. And they gave examples of learning of spaces, places where people are living that are just pretty unique. Well, this is LaSalle Village. I think it's called LaSalle. It's outside of Boston in Newton, Massachusetts. And their motto is live where lifelong learning means something different. So inspired by the university and sharing its campus, the founder of LaSalle Village envisioned it to be a place where the pursuit of lifelong learning is central to the lifestyle. Living here, residents discover a diverse group of open-minded individuals who share the belief that learning is more than an activity, it's a way of being. It's the nation's first senior living community to require each resident to commit to a goal-oriented program of education. Wouldn't it be great if every church could do this, right? So this is what they commit to. Each person creates a personalized course to meet the yearly 450-hour minimum of learning and fitness activities. As a testament to their commitment, virtually all who live here exceed that requirement. The diverse opportunities for satisfying the learning requirement reflect the connected learning approach to education. There are many ways in which residents can do, and you see the whole list there. Courses, intergenerational opportunities, courses at other, now in the Boston metro area, there's just 30, 40, 50 universities. Mentoring undergraduate students, engaging community service, teaching or tutoring, travel study, activities like the arts, physical activity, and independent research. But they have to commit to 450 hours. And so it's a remarkable example, but it just highlights how central learning is to mature and older adults. So when we're thinking about adult faith formation, for me, it all starts with motivation. A lot of the things churches have done in the past have been, the church comes up with the program for all the adults, and then it offers that and markets it and gets you to come. So churches that have done like adult Bible study on Sunday morning or Wednesday night for the last 50 or 60 years, it's like we start with the program and we move to the people. Well, in 2022, we start with the people and then move to the resource activities and programs that will address people's needs. And that's how you build motivation. So the age-old question, how do you get adults motivated? Well, you start with their lives. So life stage needs, life transitions, appeal to their personal and spiritual growth. It's got to provide some benefits and their drive to make a difference in the world, to enrich. It has to be enriching and enjoyable. People want to learn something new, or that they have not been able to do before. They may rediscover something that they once were doing earlier in their life. Now they want to rediscover and get better at that. Being together with people, community and belonging, and that's going to be like number one, if you will, coming out of the pandemic. And fitting into their busy lives. So if the learning fits my life, it fits into my patterns, and it's shorter, it offers in different ways, various ways to participate, that's a motivator. So the one size fits all adult faith formation is over. It's now one size fits one. And what we try to do is start with the lives of people and really build on that motivation that starts internally out rather than our external program trying to motivate people to participate. So as I was doing the presentation and putting the PowerPoint together, this kind of emerged. And so I thought, this is by no means, the last word on this, but I thought there's at least 4 E's of adult faith formation with mature adults and older adults: enriching, experiencing, engaging, and equipping. Now you might want to add some more to that, which is just fine. But enriching, our goal is to enrich their lives personally. So at this stage of my life, how can I keep on growing through my transitions and struggles? How do I grow spiritually? How do I grow religiously? Experiencing relationships and connection. And that might be family relationships, peer relationships, and intergenerational, which is especially important as we think about the older generations, mature and elder generation, that they need to be connected to all the other generations. And that churches have the opportunity to do that because by nature, we're multi-generational. And so family, peers, and intergenerational. Engaging them fully in the life of the faith community and the civic community. and equipping them to use their gifts, talents, and expertise in service to the church and the world. Mark Friedman, the founder of the Encore Project, has a great line. He talks about this enormous experience dividend that the society and the church is going to receive because of all these boomers are retiring, somewhat 10,000 a day, are turning 65. And they're going to lead this, what I'll call a blended life, a little bit of work, a little bit of retirement, a little bit as a grandparent or with the family, a little bit in vacation, et cetera. They have this huge experience dividend of their lives over 40 plus years, whatever their pursuits were, raising a family, et cetera. How are we going to tap into all of that experience? Because we need that as a society, and we desperately need that as a church. And so the engaging and equipping them. I think a lot of times we've seen adult faith formation as a passive offering of programs that adults participate in. I think it's far more active, and that's why every one of these words ends in ing: enriching, experiencing, engaging, and equipping. So I'll give a second example. This was also an AARP example, and I had not come across it, but it reminded me of examples in which preschool programs are being organized and set up inside nursing, inside of senior facilities, even nursing homes, to foster intergenerational contact. This was new. This is in Oregon, in Portland, and 2 other cities in Oregon. It's called Bridge Meadows, and it connects parents. Well, first, it connects youth who have been in foster care and need families, their parents, and the elders. So Bridge Meadow uses the power of community to help children heal from trauma of foster care. The program includes high quality, affordable housing, therapeutic programs, intergenerational community support. I'm using this as just as an example, not that a parish or a church could do this, but you could what you take away from this is this multi-generational approach surrounding, in this case, young people with a caring community that is intergenerational, and especially brings elders to the forefront. So elders actually live in this physical community. In other words, this is housing, all built, a community built just for this. They serve as mentors, friends, and caregivers. The safety net that they do improves the quality of life for all 3 generations, which is the key in all of these examples. While it's designed to benefit children and their parents, it also tremendously benefits the elders. So it's a win-win-win. The community connects around the shared social purpose of permanency for youth formerly in foster care. As they researched it, our intergenerational model improves the quality of life for all. Elders report an average score of 81% on the flourishing scale. 70% of them elders report receiving significant emotional, social, and tangible support, and 85% report an increase in social connection. And what they're doing is they're mentoring, they're eating shared meals, they're doing shared activities. They're basically living together in this wonderful complex of townhomes that they've created. This is those same scores you saw for elders are the same scores you'll see for parents and for the young people. It's just benefiting them. So I think of this example and say, how can we be inspired by this to say, how do we integrate our older generations, mature and older, in our church community in a way that provides support for other generations, but in turn also provides support and connection for them? By all means, if you subscribe to AARP, you definitely want to read the examples in there. I just found this month just remarkable. So what are some features? And I want to play out these features and kind of explore them. 21st century adult faith formation, whether it's young adults, midlife adults, mature adults, or older adults, is person-centered, not content or program-centered. So it's not about finding the right program and then offering it. It's starting with the people in our midst and asking what's going on in their lives. So diverse life tasks and situations. Asking where are they in their religious spiritual journey. And we know that we've got a whole continuum from those who are very actively engaged and practicing, those who may, what I'll call, have a kind of a sabbatical oriented approach where they've been involved for a while, then off for a while, involved for a while, off for a while. There's those who have been occasional. We see them for the kind of the big moments during the year, but not on a regular basis. And those who have kind of taken a back seat and They're maybe not left the church or left religion, but they certainly are kind of on a long-term sabbatical. So we want to respect the life tasks and address those and religious and spiritual identities. We need variety. And so you'll hear me say this over and over again, because our audience is more diverse. People in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, and they come from all kinds of interesting histories and backgrounds and life situations. We need a variety of content, programs, activity, and methods and formats. Now, 20 or 25 years ago, having said that, would have just been impossible to imagine doing that, because how could you run enough programs to do all that? Well, this is 2022, and we know differently now, and I'll get to that in a second. So a variety of content, programs, activities, methods, and formats, a variety of methods. It's often assumed because you're an older adult, you like lecture, but of course that's not true. We need a variety of methods for learning, ways to learn, and styles of learning, and a variety of formats. Adults can learn on their own. They can learn with a mentor and be a mentor at home, in small groups and large groups, in the church, church-wide, intergenerational, or out in the world. We now know you can learn in person, in physical spaces, and online, and in hybrid, which integrates both the in-person and the online. And we know because of the pandemic that you can learn in real time, synchronously, or asynchronously on your own time. So, and we've always had asynchronous learning. Reading a book by yourself is asynchronous learning. It's not scheduled. It's when you enter into that activity. So, I think these 6, characterized by the variety, the person-centeredness, and the fact that new technologies that we can use, it's a great day to be doing adult faith formation. Great day to be able to address the needs that people have at every stage of the seasons of life. We've got an abundance of resources. This is what's so different from 10 years or 20 years ago. We've got adults 60 and over with experience and expertise. This is that experience of it. How do we tap that? How do we utilize that? How do we have a lot of peer-based teaching and learning, and tap into their expertise? I often tell churches when I'm organizing it, tell me first the resource that you already have within your church, and realize that first resource is your people. And second, community-based resources and programs. So what's out available in my community? Who's doing what with adults? Where the resources are? If we need resources for helping people adjust to retirement, who's doing that work? Or dealing with end-of-life issues, who's already doing that work that we can partner with? Digital faith formation resources are just in abundance and in all forms, online and websites, apps, video, podcasts. We have an abundance of these resources. And we started learning how to use those because the pandemic has kind of forced us to do that. We now have digital technologies, tools, and communication approaches that we just didn't use. They've been around for a decade or more. Now we've utilized them and realized, Zoom is a pretty good technology, like we're doing today. It's allowing us to do something we could never do in person in a physical setting. We were able to do this online. Churches that streamed their worship service on Sunday, either live or recorded, utilize these new technologies. We have social media platforms, and maybe not Facebook per se, but Facebook groups, some of the Google technologies that allow people to communicate, obviously Instagram and those technologies. And then we learned about learning management systems. So lots of churches have kind of built an online education platform for all ages, and use some of the existing tools and resources that are out there to build their own learning management system. That whole column of things, save for like the first 2, are brand new. And we now have an abundance of resources to really rethink the way we do adult faith formation. So I have 3 big concepts: networks that we're going to look at first, and then we'll kind of walk through the other 2 concepts with it. But this is the big headline: is that instead of thinking about all program, think about networks of faith formation that have a variety of content, programs, activity schedules, etc. And remember, the goal of these is to enrich, experience, engage, and equip. And so those things in the circles are all the kinds of what I'll call the big goals of what I want to engage people with. And then within those are all kinds of different kinds of experiences. I'm going to do one example from the website that I've created called Seasons of Adult Faith. And I'll show you the website at the end of the presentation. So stay tuned for that. So this one's on Bible. It actually is an easy one to do, and it's for adults. And so by and large, when I say that, I would do something separate for young adults. So this is, midlife, but especially mature and older adults. I no longer worry about older adults being able to access things that are online because they've learned how to do that through the pandemic. And so they have access to that, and they can find access to these resources by and large. And for those who don't, we can package some of this up into the old print format and be able to deliver that to them. But great websites are always accessible on phones. Videos are obviously watchable on phones, better on a tablet or a computer. And people can also, if you will, connect to their television and use that as a screen for their phone or tablet. So this example we're going to look at, this is the cycle for the Gospel of Luke. So this winter, we're going to look at the Gospel of Luke, and this is an all ages experience. So everybody can take part in our 50-day reading plan. You don't have to come to anything. It's right there online. And then we have a presentation series that you can actually access in a variety of different ways. So it's going to be 4 sessions, 4 presentations, and we're going to do in person at 7 p.m. We might add maybe a morning to that if we knew we had a group of people who would only come out in the morning. So maybe we have a 10 a.m. on Thursday and a 7 p.m. on Thursday. We'll stream it so you can stay home and watch it. And we'll use YouTube Live or something like that to stream it. You'll be able to watch it after the presentation because we're going to record it. So there's no such thing as a one-off program anymore. Everything can live on in video format. And so that just gives us more platforms in which to help people to learn. And then you can join a small group after the presentation to watch the video and use the study guide questions to discuss the presentation. So if you can't do any of the other things, you want to get a group together in your home or at the coffee shop or whatever, you can watch the video and we'll give you some study questions. So it's kind of choose your adventure. How do you want to participate that addresses your needs? And that's where the creativity can come. The program content is the program content. We have 4 presentations. We have 4 guest presenters, 7 to 8:30 on Thursday night, maybe Thursday morning as well. But it's the different ways you can access this great content. And of course, once it's video recorded, you know that in 3 years, Luke will be back and you have a whole learning program ready to go. Experience 3 is introduce the Gospels to Luke. This is on your own learning. And this is from the Bible Project, the great videos from the Bible Project. You can download the overview. It's a graphical overview of the gospel and how it was developed, its themes, and then watch the 2-part video on your own learning. We have an 8-week small group study around the Gospel of Luke. And by the way, I'm just throwing examples. So people say, oh, we can never offer all that. Well, no, you offer as much as you can. How much bandwidth do you have? But so far, we've done something that everybody knows how to do, which is do a presentation series. That's 1 month worth. On your own learning is relatively easy once you know you have the Bible Project to draw on. So small group Bible study, if you do small group studies, do it on Luke. Experience 5 is the Yale Bible Study, which I'll talk about in a minute. Yale Bible Study's got just top flight resources, courses designed by Yale professors, 8 sessions, hour per session, already designed. It could be the format for an on your own learning, or a small group could gather and use that content. Then we have to learn about the Bible. So that was part 1, which is our theme. This is what I'll call the consistent content. So you want to know how to read the Bible? We've got 4 videos from the Bible Project and some handouts. You can learn this on your own. I could also do a small group around this. I could do a mentoring around this. People who want to learn the Bible. Once I've got the content, my educational methods can be varied. Experience 2 is a daily Bible reading plan, a year with the Bible. That's just an easy download. Experience 3 is a weekly Sunday gospel reflections. So that people, again, it's another on your own. I could form a group after Sunday worship over coffee and some donuts or some healthy things to talk about the Sunday readings using this resource. Growing deeper Bible reading practices, I collected a variety of Bible activities, and then some great online resources. Enter the Bible from Luther Seminary is a great resource. You could take any one of the Bibles and learn any one of the books of the Bible and learn more about it, even take a course on it. They have self-paced courses. Yale Divinity School has the Yale Bible Study. Again, a variety of courses. And what I'm trying to do is make available lots of ways for people to learn, read, and study the Bible. Just a variety of ways, and they'll pick and choose what they want. So I have some things that are anchored, synchronous. I have some things that are asynchronous. And then a personal Bible study plan using the YouVersion Bible, which is just, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of people have that on their phones. If you don't have it, they can download it and then access the reading plans. So that's an example of a Bible. That's an example of a Bible network, if you will, on my Seasons of Adult Faith. So I'm going to stop for a moment. Let's see, we've got some questions here. Ira, I hope I'm saying that right. Is there a charge for these programs? So everything you just saw me do is free. So the amazing thing about being able to do adult faith formation today, and obviously there will be programs that Bible study programs you'd have to pay for. You saw that example of the the 8-week small group study. Obviously you have to pay for the resource, but all these other digital ones, Yale Bible Study is all free. The Bible Project videos, all free. Obviously videos from YouTube, all free. Enter the Bible is free. YouVersion is free. You can do a lot of faith formation, especially adult faith formation, without spending any money at all. And it's really curating the best of the resources, coming up with ways and approaches and methods for people to access them. So that's the good news. It's not like, where do you want to go? The resources are already there. So I always start by assuming I can find the resource. I want to focus on the people and how do I help them grow and make it really easy for them to learn and grow in faith. So that was Concept One Network. I'm going to show you the whole Seasons of Adult Faith website in a few minutes. So just stay tuned for that. Second big concept is hybrid. And so that word's been used an awful lot. And I'll describe what I mean by hybrid faith formation. And so we have 3 basic approaches in faith formation programming. Everybody knows how to do what's in red, gathered programming, okay? In person, in physical spaces, whether it's church or camps or mission trips, retreat centers, etc. March of 2020, we all had to go into blue, which is online program, whether you're ready or not. So churches started streaming, Sunday worship, faith formation programming. We started using online learning classrooms and that kind of thing. So online programming, individuals, families, and small groups. Now, many churches have already been doing that, okay? And even if they are doing only seasonally, like Lent is coming up and they might have done a whole Lenten website with resources for children and teens and adults and families, etc. So we're already kind of familiar with online programming, but really getting serious that this could be the way in which we do faith formation. We now realize that there's a third way, and that is the virtue of the gathered is obviously the face-to-face, the experience, and the rest. The virtue of the online is anytime, anywhere. Hybrid programming brings those two together. I'm going to give you 3 examples of hybrid programming that I think will apply really, really well to faith formation with mature adults and older adults. And hybrid faith formation can be synchronous and asynchronous, and usually blends both of those. So when we do gathered programming, it's always synchronous. And I always say that the basic choice people have is either you come or you miss it forever. And what I'm trying to suggest in all of these approaches is that programming can live on in all kinds of different forms, and that synchronous and asynchronous are complementary. So scheduled and on your own need to be part of the approach that we take to developing faith formation. So back to Yale Bible Study. On the left, you see some of the courses they have. I think those are all, there may be a couple of more, but those are the New Testament courses, obviously. And that's the Gospel of Luke on the right. all available online. Just Google Yale Bible Study. You'll be amazed at what's there and the quality of what's there. It's in print and audio. There's downloads and video. So this is 8 sessions. They're an hour a session. You see a typical session there, 15-minute video. There's a study guide, discussion questions, additional resources. Really simple to use, easy to use. I could do it on my own. I could do it in a small group. But if I was programming that in my church, let me give you an example too. Gospel of Luke, this is the Gospel of Luke in episode format on the Bible Project. And you see the graphical overview. So I got these 2 resources. I'm going to choose one or the other to use. But this is what I mean by you have free resources. Now we become learning architects, learning how to design around the resources that we have available. So this is the Gospel. These are programming options. You can use the online content to present and experience the content in a large group at church or in small groups. So that's a gathered in-person option. So I could show the videos like the Bible Project, breakdown, small group discussion, activity, etc. So I could do it in a gathered way. I could do it in an online way. So people can have this available, like you saw on the website, independent on your own learning. We can make that same content, Yale Bible Study or Bible Project videos, a small group learning experience. We'll watch it together, then we'll discuss it and apply it and dig into it. Or it can be hybrid. We can do the online learning. So look at these videos on your own. And then let's gather either in a small group or a large group to discuss and apply that. And so the hybrid model is this blend of you learn a little bit on your own and learn a little bit with other people. Online, in person. And so one resource, Yale Bible Study, one gospel, one content already designed for us. Now we start to craft learning around that. And the goal is, can I offer enough options to really engage as many adults in my community as possible and give them really no obstacle to participating? So here's the 3 examples I want to share. I'll do these briefly. In the hybrid example, where you have in-person and online, we can learn in person at a gathering, synchronous. It's fixed time. We have a guest presenter like the Luke presentation series I talked about. Then you can go online and learn with a playlist. A playlist is simply a coordinated list of resources that you can access. What you saw in my example of the network is kind of like a playlist. Things to watch, things to read, etc. So the playlist is I'll show you some examples in a minute, is asynchronous. So we went to the in-person gathering and now in quotes, there's homework, but how do you go deeper? The next time we're going to do a live stream, which will be like part 2 of the presentation from the in-person gathering. And then we're going to learn online with our playlist again. So think of this as session, week 4. And then in week 5, we might regather to discuss and apply it. So one topic, whatever that content might be, in person, on your own, asynchronously, and then discuss and apply. So the obstacle to coming every week is overcome, because now you're coming strategic times when you really need to be in person. And you could do other things online or in small groups. And so this one example combines all of those. Second example is popularly known as the flipped classroom. Why? Well, you look in green, and that's where the content is. And that's what you would normally teach in a program. Well, now in the flipped classroom, you can access that online. And you've seen that already, through video and audio and other content. So individual or small group online learning using a playlist that explores the content, print, audio, video, etc. And then we gather in a physical space to do what? To apply the content, to discuss it, to experience with each other. So I call it to create, practice, perform, participate. And so you took what was usually done in the gathered setting and moved it online. And then what in like a classroom setting, what would have been homework to apply it, you move that into gathered space. And then if you add a Facebook group in the midst of this, you have a way for people to be talking to each other throughout the learning experience. This works really well when you have great audio, video content that people can learn on their own and only gather them in person when we want to kind of really dig deeper and experience the content, create something, discuss something, participate in something. I'm going to give you one example. It's a great example because it's so simple. Good friend of mine, Keith Anderson, a Lutheran pastor in Pennsylvania, he started, well, I'll show you what he started. He started a God on Tap. Now this is pub theology, pub programs. We're all familiar with that. So this was to really provide an alternative environment outside the church for adults to gather to talk about faith, spirituality in their lives. But what he did is he made it a flip program. His newsletter that everybody subscribes to goes out in advance of the gathering at the pub. And this is where the content is. So things to read, things to watch, things to listen to, all on the topic for the month. And then when we gather, there's no papers, there's no PowerPoints, there's nothing. People have already done that. And now we're going to discuss, apply, integrate that in our lives. And so the sacred time of being in relationship with each other is preserved because you're able to provide the content in a flip model. There's so many ways we can do this, which maximizes the time people are with us and then maximizes what they can do on their own or in a small group that doesn't demand gathering it. And if we did more of this, people would participate more and I think would be more engaged because we're asking less of them on our turf because we're blending what we do on their time with what we do on our time. And the third example is again, is another simple one, but especially when people are come out, older adults, they're not coming out at night during the winter time, at least not where I live. Today, it's single digits in Connecticut. So you're not coming out for a program tonight at 7 o'clock. And you might not come out at 10 o'clock in the morning. So we can live stream it to people. We know how to do that. People have even gotten experience with live streaming. They've gotten used to it during the pandemic. So let's live stream the presentation. And the presenter can be anywhere in the world, literally. We'll connect with them. We'll use YouTube Live, or you could use Zoom or whatever. And we're going to live stream the presentation. And then online, there'll be like maybe discussion questions, maybe something further, something to read. Maybe there's an article. And then we have small group discussions on Zoom. This is a great, for us in the upper half of the country, this is a great winter process, right? Because you don't have to go out to do things. And I use this example for social justice and service programming because it leads to some kind of action. So working in teams, we actually go do something. So the example I share oftentimes is April's coming. It's Earth Day. We're going to have a whole emphasis in April on care for creation. We live stream a presentation. We read more and experience more and into the scriptures and the rest. We discuss that, and then we gather to do something. And then part 5, we regather in a sense to reflect and debrief on our experience. That action could be anything. It could be a social justice initiative, could be a service project. It could be gathering together to do any number of things that come out of the session. So live stream, online, small group, action, debrief. And again, a Facebook group or other meeting space can provide continuity through the experience. These are all hybrid because they blend the best of online with the best of in-person. The last piece I want to look at, and hopefully just keep on adding questions to the chat, I'm happy to answer them, is the concept of playlist. Now, everybody knows what a playlist is. If not for learning, you know what it is in music. So Guardians of the Galaxy brought something back from at least my young adult years and teenage years, was the cassette mixtape, that you made for a best friend or a girlfriend or whatever, or to remember an event. And so leaving that analog technology behind, in the digital world, Spotify, you create playlists of your favorite music. TED, with the thousands of TED Talks, has started curating them and putting them into playlists on particular themes. If you want to learn about XYZ, here are 4 of our best TED Talks. And PBS Learning is another great example where they've aggregated and collected all kinds of great educational materials, organized them into themes and topics, and created playlists that teachers can access to work with their students. So playlists are all around us. We may not use the language, but if you think about what it meant to curate a music playlist out of all the songs you love, it's the same thing. And so the easiest way to think about a playlist is what you do after Sunday worship. So this is taking faith home from Milestones Ministry. You can subscribe to this. It's one fee, and you get it for the whole year. You can put it in, you can do the analog version by putting it into the bulletin, or you can put it on your website. And it's a menu. I call this a playlist as a menu because there's something to read, there's something to pray, there's something to sing, there's something to talk about, a caring conversation, there's something to pray, a devotion, there's an action, a service project, and there's something to celebrate, a ritual and tradition, all on one page. And they do this for every single Sunday of the year. Well, this is a great format. It's an all ages piece, but you could also make it more, if you want, more specific to mature and older adults. But I like the intergenerational piece. I like grandparents, for example, being able to use this and also instigate that this might be what their children's family do with the grandkids. And because it's digital, be on a website, the grandkids can share this with their grandparents very, really easy. So that's a playlist. It's a variety of things. It's not meant to be a sequence. You pick and choose what you want when you want, and they're varying, lengths of activity. Lent's coming up, and it's a perfect time to create a playlist. I like the categories here are something to read, something to watch, something to experience, something to participate in, something to pray and reflect on, something to serve. Your desk are going to be inundated with content for Lent. How many devotions are going to come across your desk for Lent, et cetera, et cetera. So you can target this for mature and older adults, things that especially relate to them. Put that on a digital playlist. You can have print material. You can send things home to people too as well. It's not a problem, but I think we lead with digital now, and then we provide print when that's necessary. I think, obviously 10 years ago, we led with print and we said, oh, by the way, it's also online. So I think that's the biggest shift that we're engaged in. So this is a playlist for Lent, and you can curate this. It's about a half dozen, 10 different sources I got the material from. It's a variety. People pick and choose what they want, but it's all on a Lenten theme. So digital platforms for anytime and anywhere learning. They're curated, meaning you select them and pick them, make sure they're theologically sound and developmentally appropriate, all that kind of stuff. They're micro learning. They're 5, 10, 15 minutes, nothing longer than that. They're meant to be on the go. There's a mix of methods and media, something to watch, something to read, something to listen to, something to pray, and multiple ways to learn. It's a great way to take the 8 multiple intelligences and kind of touch each of those with people. So I know it's a lot to process all at once, but my website is lifelongfaith.com. I put the PowerPoint there. I'll show you that in a minute. And I've set up the website to be helpful to you in designing lifelong faith formation, and also faith formation for particular ages across the lifespan. So let me stop sharing the PowerPoint, and I'm going to share the websites. So let me start with Lifelong Faith, just lifelongfaith.com. If you go to this one, you'll get all the other ones because they're all connected. And so if you go to home and just look for ALOA 2022, you'll see the PowerPoint, the articles are there, and a connection to the lifelong training website, which I'll show you in a second. This website is designed to really help churches really embrace lifelong faith formation. It's built around the new book that I did called Lifelong Faith. Surprise, surprise. And the website is built around that. And so you'll see sections on intergenerational and family, how to create a network, how to build hybrid faith formation programming. So this is a nice next step from this video in this webinar into applying it and practicing it. The Seasons of Adult Faith is a demonstration site. It's not what I would build for a church because it's got a lot more than an individual church would want, but it's meant for adult faith formation from young adults all the way up through older adults. And I built it around these major areas of faith formation content and practice. And so here, you already seen the Bible one, kind of cut and pasted. This is what it looks like on a website. There's the gospel according to Luke, the experiences. I would have a link here to our Facebook group just for the Gospel of Luke. You can watch everything's going to happen on this page, by the way. So they can watch the videos here, except for going off to Facebook group. Everything's going to happen here. They can join a group. I might have a button here that says, register here. Here's the online course. They can just click on that. So it's all organized on one page. So it's like focus on Luke, or if you need more about how to read the Bible, we've got more for you. And what I've also tried to do is identify what the activities are, who they're best geared for. Are they for adults who are just getting started or need a refresher on the Bible? Are they adults who are growing in their understanding and reading of the Bible? Are they adults who already have pretty high proficiency and want to go deeper? Okay. And then some of them are for all the adults. So I try to differentiate based on their growth needs, either getting started or need a refresher, growing and going deeper. And you see that in the activities on the site. So when you get down to, I don't want to get, when you get down to experience 5, take a course, a Bible reading practices or journey through the Bible. It's really for the growing and going deeper folks who want to really kind of, go the next step in their journey. The adult living one is different. It's just got a different feel to it. And so this is where you can really personalize it around mature adults and older adults, et cetera. So I have one on the tasks and transitions of adulthood. I call the experience 1 is living through the transitions of adult life. And it's a resource that I worked on when I was working at Vibrant Faith Ministries. And it's just, what are the big milestones that happen, the transitions, and a resource that people can reflect on, do with their family, do with their spouse, et cetera, friends. And kind of takes them through the life cycle. And then living as a mature adult, an older adult, this is just a kind of like what's going on in our life. So every month we're going to gather mature adults 1 week, older adults a different week. And of course, the times will be based on when people are free. I said like Tuesday morning and Wednesday evening, that kind of thing. But there'll be topics. We'll maybe have guest presenters, maybe people in our parish or church will be presenters. And it will really focus in on what's going on in their life. And then we'll do a book study. I mean, this is very popular among mature and older adults. A good friend of mine and colleague, Janet Scheffler, has done a wonderful book, 12 Spiritual Essentials for Life's Second Act. We'll do a book group, and it's hybrid. Like you're going to read it and you discuss it, and we'll share it on Facebook, and then we'll keep on cycling that process through. So this is an adult faith formation network. It's got all kinds of ways for people to learn and grow. The Christian story, very similar. You have experience for all adults, monthly. This is a monthly, and then you have things, you need a refresher, take the Alpha experience. You want to go deeper? We're going to be doing a book study on N.T. Wright's How Christianity Makes Sense of the World, Broken Signposts. So you just get a feel for a variety of opportunities. And this would all be like, I would do this within like a 6-month season, and then just keep adding some new things for the next season, that kind of thing. And then the last thing I want to show you, and I hope you get a moment to put some questions in there, is we just introduced on Wednesday lifelong faith training. And I'm just going to go to the adult faith formation page. This is designed for you to work with your teams in designing programming. And Janet Scheffler is the one who did the videos. It's all free. This is the videos are about 12 to 15 minutes each, and they usually walk you through very similar to this, which is kind of the principles, and then kind of approaches, and then kind of practice. And then we put resources with that. You can download PowerPoints, and then sorry, went to the wrong place. There we go. You can pour it out to see the seasons of adult faith. And you can also then access additional resources right here, articles, a free book that we did called Seasons of Adult Faith, Janet's book. So in Christian Reformed Church North America has done a third of life toolkit. Everything here is free, but we designed this so that churches could build faith formation around all the different aspects of the lifespan. So we have designing videos and training, and then we have leading and organizing faith formation videos and training. So trying to recognize that for churches to really engage and embark on this, they had to be surrounded with resources and training and support and encouragement to do that. And so that's why I created all these examples to say you can do that. But I think that working with mature and older adults in terms of adult faith formation is really the low-hanging fruit in the church. They're available, they're interested, they're open, but we have to tailor it around who they are and what their needs are. And we have to use the new tools and technologies to really personalize the experience for them. It's a long way from a story I always tell. This has got to go back about a half dozen, 8 years. I was doing a 21st century faith formation presentation at a church, which will go unnamed, but a big church, very active. And one of the leadership teams was their adult team. And as I shared some of the examples I shared here about thinking broadly and the rest, one person said, well, we just like, how do I get more younger adults to come to our Bible study at 9:30 on Sunday morning? It's most of our age, meaning 60s, 70s, 80s, and older. I said, well, most of you probably have young adult children or had young adult children. What are they doing on Sunday morning at 9:30? Silence in the room. I said, did you ever think about doing Sunday Bible study on Wednesday night or Friday night with a bottle of wine or something like that? And there was just a silence in the group. And then someone said, but it wouldn't be Sunday Bible study. I said, no, it would not be Sunday Bible study, but it would meet different time schedules of people. And I said, did you ever think about doing Bible study in people's homes? Like maybe the problem is they can't get here to church. Their lives are so busy. Have you thought about offering it and making it available and making it portable? And then, of course, the catch was, have you ever thought of putting it online? And that was you can't put it online. You have to be here on Sunday morning at 9:30. The Bible doesn't work any other time. So I think we're past that. I think the pandemic has wrung that out of us. And we realize that we can do multi-platform faith formation, meet people where they are, anytime, anywhere. And I think adult faith formation is just the perfect place to experiment, to innovate. So think about the next 3 years. What do you want to introduce this spring, next fall, next winter, and just keep innovating over that time. It's not a package deal. You can grow this over time, but have a vision of where you want to go. I like my 4 E's. I didn't know, but those are merged in doing the presentation. But I really like that, the enriching, the experiencing, the engaging, the equipping. It gives you a handle on what you can do, but sky's the limit, because it's not about abundance. It's not about resources and technologies and the rest. Now it's about it's about will. Do you want to make this happen? And you can. And you can always, if you need some assistance, Roberto at lifelongfaith.com. All you got to do is just send me a note and say, hey, I'm looking for this. Can you help? And if you forget that, at the bottom of all the websites I create is my name, address, and email. So I'm really happy to help and resource you. Is there any other questions? Let's see. I think those are most, I can't have answered all your questions, but I thank you for the nice comments. I appreciate that. But by all means, if you get to lifelongfaith.com, download stuff, join the mailing list. I mean, I'm not going to sell you anything, because I have nothing to sell. It's all the resources are free. So just feel free to join, and you'll get updates. Every week I kind of do a little bit of an update. And so you kind of knew what's coming up. And then in 2 weeks, Lifelong Faith Studio, which is the curated resource that you could use to build a network and playlist, that website will go live. So you'll get that as well. So thanks for taking an hour out of your busy day. It was a pleasure to do this. It was fun putting all this together and then learning things like the 4 E's. I thought that was just kind of like, I learned something today, which is great.